What's up guys, Johnny Youssef here, and today I'm excited to share with you guys just one of the topics that I love talking about and I love studying and getting better at, and it's being more productive. So today I'm going to share with you guys 5 tested and tried tips that I've learned that got me more productive. Now let me give you a couple of disclosures. First of all, these are not my ideas. These are ideas of things that I've heard, things that I've read, and that I've actually applied and they worked. Secondly, there are tons of other ideas. So in no way I'm saying I'm an expert. I'm still learning to get more productive, and there are still other ideas, but these are just 5 that I've just tested, tried, and they worked. So I want to start with you guys with the first one. And the first one is called Eat the Frog. And the idea of Eat the Frog is that if you have tons of food in front of you and one of the food items is just a big frog that you don't want to eat, they tell you start with that. Start with the hardest task first, because if you eat the frog, then everything else becomes easier and you get to be able to get more done. But if us as humans, we're so tempted to keep the hard things to the end rather than keep the dessert to the end, and then when we do that, then we keep dragging it on, and usually we don't end up doing it. I don't know about you guys, but I have things that I put on my to-do list, and then I realize after a while that I keep writing the same thing on my to-do list every day because I'm avoiding it rather than just tackling the hard stuff first. So Eat the Frog is you guys writing a list, if you don't do that, of your to-dos. You gotta do that. And then what you do is you look at the one big item that once you get done, you will accomplish a lot, no matter how hard it is. And then you bite it down to smaller actions so that you can get it done rather than avoiding it. So number 1 is Eat the Frog. Find the biggest, hardest project or task that you have to do and tackle it on. And if it's too big and too confusing on where to start, just start writing down the small steps. So if it's a really big project, you can write down, okay, I can start with this, and that one project, and start cutting it and trimming it until you get it done. Do not avoid it. Eat the frog. So that's the first one. The second one is the 80-20 concept. And you may have heard of that concept, but it's the whole idea that 80% of our time brings 20% productivity, and 20% of our productive time brings 80% results. So the idea that we spend a lot of time, 80% wasting it without realizing or getting very little done. But then if we're in the right place, the right time, that other 20% is a lot of times is what we accomplish, throughout, and gets 80% done. If you think about it, start thinking about your day and what you did maybe today or yesterday, you're gonna realize it's 20% of the time, maybe those 3 or 4 phone calls that just took an hour that got a lot of your list done and a lot of important things done. And then the rest of the day we end up dragging it because we don't want to do it or whatever reason. So the idea of the 80-20 concept is being aware of where are we productive and where are we spending our 80% that's only bringing 20% results, and where are we spending the 20% that's bringing 80% result, and learning to trim out the fluff, learning to be able to do more of the 20% that bring 80% and trim out the other ones, and not drag our feet and not spend 80% on things that only bring 20% back. The idea of always being able to assess where we're at with that and cutting out all the noise, cutting out all that 80% that's only bringing 20%. That concept is even true with customers. So they say in a lot of businesses, they found out that 20% of customers are bringing 80% of the profit. 80% of customers are only bringing 20% of the profit. So how can we trim so much noise so that we can focus on that 20% that brings the majority, and then we keep tackling that so that we can keep doing more of what brings a lot in return and getting rid of a lot of noise and efforts that only bring very small percent. So just encourage you to be conscious of this and always be looking, even in your business. What are the products that you need to get rid of? What are the services? What is the clientele that you need to get rid of? And start cutting that and focusing on the stuff that takes a little bit of time, but great results. Okay, the third one is the power of focus and isolation. So it is so hard to get anything done when you are getting texts, while checking your email, while getting phone calls, while trying to finish a project, and then, you believe in the myth of multitasking, so you're doing 2 projects at the same time or 2 tasks at the same time. So the third concept, the third tip is being able to isolate yourself for extended period of time. And if you don't need your phone, sometimes I literally leave my phone or put it on silent and do not disturb while I'm getting done with something so I'm not distracted. So the idea is to be able to get as big a chunk of time as possible. Like even if it's just start with an hour and you say for this hour, I'm gonna work on this one item or these 2 items. Get rid of your phone, do not check your email, do not let your phone vibrate, and just focus. If you can train your body and your mind and train yourself not to be distracted for windows of time, over time that muscle gets stronger and you'll find yourself having more and more time where you're able to work and focus without being distracted by anything. And by doing that, you can accomplish so much in a short period of time. Again, going back to tip number 2, which is 80-20, you'll find that 20% you've gotten so much time, but the key is isolate yourself. I've heard of musicians that have to literally write songs in a closet where there's nothing but a light bulb and themselves, no distraction, nothing here and there that just keeps them distracted. If you like working in coffee shops, great. If you like, having a little bit of noise, but still, for the most of us humans, I just encourage us, have time where you're completely in silence, alone, no distraction. And if you're getting antsy at first, that's totally normal because you're not used to it, but train your body to have slots of no distraction and watch and see how much you can accomplish in that short period of time. And while you're at it, train yourself to go, the 60-10 concept, which is 60 minutes of work without any distraction. Just work, get as much done, and then give yourself 10-minute break. And you have to give yourself a break because if you do that, you actually end up coming back and you end up being more productive versus trying to work for 3 hours without any breaks. So train yourself, 60-minute complete focus, 10 minutes. And if you can't start by that, just start 30 minutes, complete focus, 5 to 10 minutes break, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, but train yourself to give yourself increments of time where you are distraction free, noise free, other people free, try to be in a space that's not going to distract you and give you 500 thoughts and just do the work. So isolate yourself with a chunk of time away from technology and focus. The fourth one is eliminate decision fatigue. So decision fatigue is when you have to make so many choices throughout the day that, at certain point of the day, your decisions start becoming poor and you can't really make good decisions because you've made so many decisions throughout the day. And no matter how good or how smart or of a person you are, we all as humans have a capacity to make on so many decisions per day. So try to eliminate the decisions that you have to make throughout the day, because the more you do that, the earlier in the day, you're gonna start having decision fatigue, which will make it harder for you to make any wise and smart moves for your business or for whatever you're working on. So the theory about Steve Jobs is that Steve Jobs wore the same turtleneck, the same black turtleneck every day, so that when he wakes up, he doesn't have to decide what is he gonna wear. When I say decision fatigue, I'm not talking about big decisions. I'm talking about little things. When we wake up, what are we gonna wear? Are we gonna shower first or are we gonna do it later? What are we gonna have for breakfast? What tasks should we do out throughout the day first? Should we make this call first or should we respond to that text? So I'm talking about little stuff throughout the day, hundreds of things that we have to do that at some point we end up making bad decisions. And they actually found out in a research that judges that are taking care of smaller court cases, that they usually have better judgment at the beginning of hearings. If you happen to be in the beginning of the hearing, you'll have a better judgment than at the end of the hearing. My last name is Yusuf, so I'm usually the very last person whenever I have to go to court for speeding, whatever, which sucks. But the idea is that even judges are still humans and they can start tumbling on decision fatigue. So we want to avoid that. the better you get at this, the more likely you're going to have a longer day where you can make wiser decisions. So eliminate decision fatigue by maybe choosing the day before, the next morning, choosing what you're going to wear. Small decisions that you can have delegate someone else to do, have them do that. Where are we going to go for lunch? Or do we need to do this and that? If you have employees, have them, pick those small decisions because they get excited, they feel empowered, and if it's not going to make a difference to you, have them decide some of those things. But try to eliminate your decisions and just be conscious of the fact that the more decisions you make, small and big, throughout the day, the more likely you're going to struggle having better decision made later in the day. And try to expand as much time of wise decisions and decisions that matter throughout the day. And finally, I'm going to share with you guys the 5th tip, and it's just that concept that I call one more. And the idea is to be able to teach yourself to do one more. So just like a runner who is training, for a marathon or whatever, they start running a mile and then they push their bodies to do 1.5 miles and then 2 miles and then 3 miles, and then it becomes easy for them. What used to be their ceiling becomes their floor because they train their bodies to just do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more until it becomes normal. Same thing for the gym. Maybe you go and you do, 3 sets of something and then you push yourself. How can I push myself to 4 sets or to add a little bit of weight and do one more. So the concept is train yourself for one more. So the idea when I said isolate yourself and focus on a project for 60 minutes, at first that may be really hard, but start with 30, make it 40, 50, 60, until you get to a place where you can work for 2 hours with no distraction. So the same thing with just throughout work. Push yourself to do one more workout, 1 more minute of getting work done, 1 more email to respond to when it's time, you have designated time to respond to email, 1 more phone call to get a lead. The idea is pushing yourself to just push, because there's a compounding effect. So if you teach yourself to do a little bit more every day, a little bit more every week, a little bit more every month, at the end of the year, you're gonna look back and you're gonna realize your sales, your productivity, everything has gone up just in a great way that you wouldn't have even realized it just for making these small steps of 1 more throughout the year. So train yourself to get that 1 more. If you have a task that you're planning to do in 30 minutes and you get done in 20 minutes, awesome. Don't stop there. Go to the next task. But push yourself for 1 more, and over time, you're gonna be able to focus more, get a lot more done in a shorter period of time, and it would just be easy without having to work extra, but you just wanna keep pushing that muscle. So I hope this is helpful. I'm gonna share them real quick with you guys now just so that you can remember them. And I would love for you guys to give me any input, comment, subscribe, and tell me how I can do more videos that would work with what you're looking for. So let's go over them. So 1, eat the frog. And it's the concept of start with the hardest stuff first. 2, 80-20, and it's the concept that 80% of the time brings 20% results and 20% of our time brings 80% results. And how can we tackle things so that we are very productive with our time and energy? 3, isolate yourself. Train yourself to give time away from noise and get work done. 4, eliminate decision fatigue. Try to do what you can so you don't have to make so many decisions that do not matter throughout the day. And 5, 1 more. Train yourself to push yourself to do 1 more. As you do that, it has a compounding effect, and before you know it, you get a lot more accomplished. Hopefully this is helpful, guys. Again, follow me, subscribe, and let's do this together.